What's up, digital artists and graphic designers? Mr. Lin here, broadcasting from home at my garage. It's about 6:50 a.m. You guys are snuggled, nestled warm in your bed with visions of sugar plums dancing in your head. I'm here writing a lesson plan for you guys, recording one. I'm going to show you how to take one of these portrait non-objective design blend mode works that you made, and we're going to add a logo and a product to it to make it look kind of like maybe an advertisement for a more commercial purpose. So for the first thing, you need to download this if you don't already have it downloaded, a version of it from Photoshop. So here's my soft light version, and then go ahead and open it in Photoshop. So we're not going to create a new trying to open Photoshop, but I can't for some reason. Let's try it this way. I just updated it, so maybe that has something to do with it. Seems like it's opening now. There we go. And you don't have to create a new file in Photoshop. Just open this pre-existing document, and it could be the original Photoshop doc too. I just opened like the saved JPEG version of it. It doesn't really matter for this purpose. New stuff in Photoshop. Okay, so let's go ahead and say open, and then I can choose that file from my desktop, or if you already have it saved to the cloud, you can just open it that way too. I don't really need the layered version of the file like I was saying. So what we're going to do is just kind of take this and use it as a base, as if we were advertising a product, or it could be like the album cover, the cover of a book, or something like that. So I want you to think of a company and then look for their logo and their product. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a new tab. I'm going to say Oakley logo, because I'm going to stick with the sunglasses idea here. And here's a shortcut. If you type in PNG, you might be able to find a logo that already has the background removed. If it has kind of this checkerboard pattern, and so there's a possibility that it's already a transparent background logo, but not always. Sometimes it looks like it is and it isn't, so you kind of have to check. But I'm going to visit this website and then try to download this. And I'm recording a lesson. And let's see here. Sometimes these little sites are a little tricky to navigate. Looks like maybe I could download something like this. Just be careful what you click on these sites. Some things are, it looks like this is what you'd say to do the free download, but it's for some other app or something like that. So sometimes it's a little tricky to figure out exactly what you're trying to download. I think it's this button. We'll see. Doesn't look like it. Let me go back. So download transparent PNG. See what happens there. It says if your download doesn't start automatically, click here. So okay, there. I think I finally found it, and if it worked, I have my computer set to download things directly to the desktop here, so it looks like that is authentically a transparent PNG. You can see through it when I open it like this. You can see my desktop, so that's legit. You might end up finding something else that looks like a PNG but isn't, so something like this perhaps, and you can see that yeah, that looks like it should have a transparent background, but it actually doesn't. So I'll show you how to deal with both cases if you don't find a PNG. If you do find a PNG, it's like real. Okay, if you do find a PNG, it's real easy because you can just stick this in here and it's got the transparent background. You can hit Command T to scale it, rotate it, whatever you need to do, put it on there. This one's kind of gray, so I don't know if I like the look of that, but you could try a blend mode on that and kind of make it look a different color potentially too. Kind of like the darker look like that. But let's say you get one that isn't a PNG, like you just can't find it or download it, because I was kind of having trouble finding one myself. As you saw there, this one says PNG, but it's not really. So what we can do is select parts of it. In order to use these selection tools up here, you have the rectangle marquee, the polygon lasso tool, and the quick select tools, which is the one I'm going to use right here. In order to do this, this has to be a raster image. So when I click on it, actually it still lets me, so never mind. I click on it, you can kind of see that it's selected the black part of it when I clicked on there. So I'm going to come in here and click on the O, the A, K, the L, the E, and the Y. And if you have a situation like this where it selected the middle part of the A here too, I don't know how well you guys can see this because my cursor is kind of small, but if I hold the Alt key, I get a little minus there, so I can deselect the middle of that. I could do that on the O too, but it actually recognized the middle of the O there. So you can edit your selection. The amateur way to do this would be just to inverse the selection and delete it. So I could say inverse, hit the delete key. This I do need to rasterize that layer 4 to do, and go like that. And now I've gotten rid of that kind of checkerboard background. But the more professional way to do this would be to use a mask, like I've taught you before. So I'm going to back up to the point where I just had this selected. Anytime you have any of these selection tools and these marquee tools chosen, you can hit this select and mask button. If you hit the F key a few times, you can kind of see that logo on different backgrounds. It just helps you detect the edge a little bit. I'm going to leave it on red here. The main thing, let me move myself out of the way for a sec. I think I can move myself. There we go. The main thing you want to set is the output to layer mask here, the output to menu. Sometimes I like to feather it just a few pixels to soften the edge so it doesn't look like it's cut out as much. Or if you shift the edge negatively a little bit, it'll trim off a little bit of the background. But when you say OK here, it just punches out the background. And you see, as I've shown you before, it adds a layer mask here, but a little more cleanly than if we had tried to paint it out with the paintbrush. I showed you guys before how to do this. Like I can come in and mask more of it if I'm selecting the mask, or if I use the white color instead of black over here. Whoops, black over here. I can paint that back, but I'm also painting the background there. So using one of those techniques, the marquee tool or the selection tool, and then adding the mask gives you a cleaner result. So I can have the Oakley logo here in the corner. And then the other thing I want you guys to try to do with this composite is to add a product to it. So you actually look for this this pair of sunglasses that I have. They're called Oakley Jawbreakers. And one thing I recommend what you do when you're doing image searches is you open the Tools tab, select large images only. Way you get higher resolution, higher quality images. So say this is the one I want to do. I'm going to say save image as, put that on my desktop, and then out of here. And then I can pull that in too. Now that's not going to be a PNG. You might be able to find a PNG that's already got the background cut out, but part of why we're doing this is to learn some Photoshop techniques. So instead, I'm going to have you guys cut the background out. This time I'm going to use a similar selection tool, but it's a little bit different. So this one right here is called the object selection tool. It's pretty fancy. This is a new one this year for Photoshop. They just added. My furnace just came on, so I'm going to unplug it for a sec so you guys can still hear me. Give me a sec. There we go. So you can see it almost automatically, if you drag a box around, recognizes the edges there. but you sometimes have to adjust that. So I'm going to... Okay, so you can see how the object selection tool just kind of automatically identified the edge of the sunglasses, but it's not perfect. There's some things like the shadow that it got. So I switched to the quick selection tool, and holding Alt will give me the minus instead of the plus, and I can modify my selection. So it's a shortcut to use that object selection tool, but it doesn't work as well as some of the other tools. So in here it didn't get either. So sometimes just zooming in using a really small paintbrush, which you can just adjust with the bracket keys, just like the regular paintbrush when we're doing masks. Go like this. So mostly I've got the thing selected. It's not perfect, but just for demonstration purposes here, it's good enough. You guys can do it better. So what we're going to do here is hit this button that says selected mask again, and then same deal. We're going to make sure it says output to layer mask, maybe feather it a little bit. Click OK. Now we have the sunglasses kind of separate from the background, and we can kind of think about how we might position these on the page. I kind of feel like it would be more balanced if I asymmetrically balanced, if we kind of turn them, maybe rotate them the other way. So I'm just going to come up here and edit. I don't know if you guys knew about this one. It's a basic thing. You can go transform, rotate, or flip horizontal, so you can just flip something the other way. I feel like let's emphasize to use our principles of design language, emphasize the product we're trying to sell, make those a little bit bigger, and then I'm kind of just relegated to the background, just kind of modeling the glasses a little bit. So you could fill around and do other stuff with this, but this is the goal for Monday, Tuesday graphic design classes. Try to apply a logo and a kind of like this one better actually. Try to apply a logo and a product to your design, and then you can save it as usual. Just when you save any Photoshop file initially, you want to save a version that you can still edit. So probably save that to the cloud. That way you can access it from any computer. Call this like Nike ad or Oakley ad or whatever company you decide to do, and hit save. I already saved it, so I'm not going to do it. But then the one you're going to turn in, I'm going to have an album in the Do Now linked that you can turn this into, so we can kind of share the results of this. Just as usual, do is save as a copy. This time save it to your computer. Make sure it's somewhere you can find it, like the desktop. Give it a name you can remember. Switch the file type to a JPEG, something that's uploadable. And then check the quality. We want that to probably be a couple megabytes. So you might need to increase the quality slider before you save it. When you do that, it should be now on your desktop here. Here's my Oakley ad, and I can just drag that and drop that into the album that I create for you. Sound good? Good luck.